There's a moment in Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage Season 2 Episode 20 that everyone keeps overlooking, and it's not about Georgie. It's about Mandy. Because while the entire internet is focused on what Georgie buys, nobody is asking the more important question: why does Mandy's reaction tell us she already knows this marriage is going to fail? You are watching Screen Explained. The episode, titled Splurges and Secrets, follows a financial windfall that Georgie receives after his new marketing push at the tire shop finally pays off. On the surface, this looks like a victory. After an entire season of debt stress, co-ownership tension with Ruben, and the constant pressure of providing for a young family, Georgie finally has breathing room. But instead of celebrating together, Mandy goes cold, and that reaction is the real story of this episode. Here's what the scene actually reveals about Mandy's character. She doesn't get angry because Georgie spent money irresponsibly. She gets angry because he didn't ask. That's a crucial distinction, because it means Mandy isn't fighting about the purchase itself. She's reacting to what the purchase represents. To her, this is proof that Georgie's instinct, even after everything they've been through, is still to act alone. And here's where it gets interesting. Mandy grew up watching her parents' relationship crumble under the weight of exactly that dynamic, one partner making unilateral decisions while the other is expected to accept it after the fact. So when Georgie does this, she isn't just frustrated. She's pattern matching. She's watching her worst fear play out in real time. This changes the entire framing of the conflict. It's no longer a fight about money. It's Mandy recognizing, maybe for the first time clearly, that she and Georgie have fundamentally different definitions of what it means to be a partner. The episode layers this with a second storyline involving Jim and Audrey McAllister, and the parallel is not accidental. Jim, adrift since retirement, starts pulling at old threads, digging into family history that Audrey has deliberately kept buried. And Audrey's response mirrors Mandy's almost exactly. It's not rage. It's a kind of quiet devastation. The look of someone who realizes the person they love has just reminded them of something they were hoping wasn't true. What the writers are doing here is smart. By placing these two couples in crisis simultaneously, the show is arguing that this pattern, the pattern of secrets, of solo decisions, of one partner moving forward without the other, is generational. Mandy didn't just marry Georgie. In some ways, she married the version of Georgie that her mother warned her about. And episode 20 is the moment she starts to see it. Where does this leave us heading into the finale? There are two directions the show can take, and they lead to very different emotional endings. The first is that Mandy draws a line. Not a dramatic ultimatum, but a quiet one, the kind that's actually harder to argue with. She tells Georgie that she can't keep reacting to decisions that were already made. That if they're going to survive, the process has to change, not just the outcome. The second and more devastating direction is that Georgie hears her and still doesn't change. Not because he doesn't love her, but because the Dr. Tyre version of Georgie Cooper is already taking over. We already know from the Big Bang Theory how this story ends. Georgie becomes successful. He becomes the Tyre King. And Mandy is not there when it happens. Episode 20 might be the episode where we finally understand why. Because the real tragedy of Georgie and Mandy isn't that they didn't love each other. It's that they loved each other at the wrong stage of who they were still becoming. Subscribe to Screen Explained for more.